Schizophrenia, it's a mental illness that warps your perception of reality. So basically that means anything. So whether it's you're hearing voices, you're seeing things, or you're talking about something that didn't happen, because that did happen with my dad quite a lot when I was younger. He would say certain things and I'm like, that didn't happen. Sometimes when I'll speak to him over the phone, I will notice the shift. And when I notice the shift, then I'm like, oh, okay, maybe you haven't been taking your medication. Because you hear the tonal shift, or maybe he might be laughing a lot, or when he laugh a little bit too much, I might be like, okay, like just to keep an eye on or whatever. And I remember there was a time when I was on the phone to him when I was younger. I don't remember how old, but I was on the phone to him and I can tell like he was experiencing a bit of an episode. And he said to me, he was like, oh, ask your mum if she remembers that time we had a dance. And I was like, okay. And I said to Mum, do you remember the time that you and Dad had this dance? And she looked at me and she said, he's not well. She was like, no, that didn't happen. And from that moment, I knew that, you know, he was sort of like having his episode or whatever. Schizophrenia, it takes its form in different ways. I remember there was another time where I sort of just saw him sitting there, just staring blankly into space, like just staring at nothing. And he was irresponsive. Talk to him, he wouldn't talk. I remember I tried to, I don't know why I thought I could get through to him or whatever, but I tried to talk to him, no response, and he was just sort of just staring blankly into the space. And sometimes they disappear for a while, because he's also gone, and we didn't hear from him. I remember there was a time we didn't hear from him for a whole year, and we didn't know what happened to him. We just thought, we thought anything could happen to him because, you don't hear from him, no phone calls, no, went to his house a good few times. There was no one there. And yeah, he came back eventually. And, I asked him where he went, and he said he went everywhere. He just said we went everywhere throughout the country. And I was like, what did you do? And he was just like, he was just wandering. And like, that was very interesting to me. Because like, it was just very interesting to me hearing, that you sort of, it sounds almost like an adventure in a weird way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like where you just sort of say, you know what, I'm just going to go somewhere, or I'm just going to go everywhere. And then you sort of just take a train, you have no plans. And then, you have the bag on your back, or you don't, or whatever. And then you sort of just go somewhere, and you don't look back for a while or whatever. So
it does sound like an adventure, but the adventure that I would never have enough guts to take.
Exactly. That's kind of what, in a weird way, I respected about him, because like, you just did something, like something that I there's no way that I would have done that or whatever.
Alone.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's a form that schizophrenia could take. There's another version. Someone that I know very well, he was experiencing an episode as well. And he was in my house one time. And I heard like shouting, right? And cause he was my mum's friend. So they would chill or whatever. And I just heard shouting. So I thought he was, shouting at her. So I came out to see like, what's going on? Like, you're protective over your mom and whatever. And then I saw him just sort of staring up into the ceiling and just shouting at himself. Cause he was saying his name. He's like, why did you do that? Staring into the ceiling and just repeating himself. Why did you do that? Why did you do that? And like, that's when we realize, okay, he's having, you know, an episode or whatever. But so that I guess in a nutshell, I hope that I hope that explains what schizophrenia can be.
But there's medication. How good is medication? What, like, does it actually prevent the episodes, or
it holds back the thoughts?
Yeah.
Because you know, I've heard my dad has said, like, when he's having his moments or whatever, he refers to them as demons. So he says the demons take over and stuff like that. So like he said it can be quite loud when he doesn't take his medication, because he hears these thoughts. He hears a lot of intrusive thoughts. And yeah, so the medication sort of holds that back from happening. So you don't hear these thoughts, and, you know, you don't sort of see things and imagine things that didn't happen and whatnot. So, yeah, it's interesting how that actually works, right? You can take medication to stop these things. I think that's very interesting. But yeah, so it holds back these thoughts and these inner monologues and all of that stuff. So that's what the medication's for, which more time does help. But yeah, apparently processed sugar prevents it from doing its job. If you have excess processed sugar, like if you have a lot of like sweets and chocolates and stuff like that and whatnot.
Apparently sugar nowadays, like I was listening to some different like podcasts about like, and sugar is just bad for everything. Like people, apparently they're like, it's I'm not sure how much of it is true, but I've heard that changing the diet, eating properly, can remove a lot of the symptoms of mental diseases.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what we eat is horrible nowadays.
Yeah.
But how did it affect you? Like your childhood and just in general having a father with schizophrenia?
It affected me because, you know, I feel like, obviously I felt like at the time it was just me or just us that was going through it. So it was a situation where I guess I craved normality. Because, you know, you have these things going on in your life when you're younger, and to you that's normal. But then, you know, you go to school and you see, you know, other children with their families, and you're like, oh, okay, maybe it's not normal or whatever, because maybe both parents are there, or, you know, whatever. It seems a little bit more, the foundation seems a little bit more solid. So yeah, I guess I craved normality in that sense, and, you know, just not having that support of the father there really, you know, sort of took effect. And not just not having that there, the fact that he had those issues as well, you know, didn't help as well. Because obviously I understand it now that I'm an adult. I can, you know, I respect him and I love him. It's like, it's fine, because, you know, what's done is done and you have to forgive. And not just like that, but when you're a child, you don't want to understand. You choose not to understand because, you know, why can't it be that simple? Why can't it be that easy? Why can't we just, you know, be normal or whatever? The jigsaw pieces weren't fitting together. So yeah, it definitely did affect me. But at the same time, sometimes you come out stronger because of it. And I think that's sort of the takeaway from these things sometimes.